Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Russia has no preconditions for talks with Ukraine, but Istanbul agreements could be the basis, says President Vladimir Putin. US President Joe Biden reveals new climate targets, seeking to curb emissions more than 60% by 2035. And BJP MPs filed police complaint against Rahul Gandhi for alleged assault on BJP MP Pratap Sarangi on Parliament premises. Russian President Vladimir Putin held the annual year-end news conference in Moscow on Thursday, in which he spoke on various topics, including internal Russian politics and economy, as well as foreign policy and the conflict in Ukraine. Speaking on Ukraine, Putin said that Russian forces were moving towards achieving their primary goals on the battlefield in Ukraine and were taking control of significant territory every day. Putin said Russia had no preconditions to start talks with Ukraine on a possible peace settlement.
Combat operations are a complex thing, and therefore it is difficult and pointless to guess what lies ahead. But that is exactly what is happening, and we are moving, as you said, towards achieving our primary task, which we outlined at the beginning of the special military operation.
President Putin also said that he was ready to compromise over Ukraine in possible talks with Donald Trump on ending this conflict.
What can I offer to the President-elect Trump when we meet? First of all, I don't know when we will meet because he doesn't say anything about it. I haven't spoken to him for more than 4 years, and I am ready for it, of course, at any time. And I'm ready for a meeting if he wants it.
Я готов к этому, конечно.
The 27 EU leaders are meeting for a one-day summit in Brussels with a busy agenda. They are discussing Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Syria's power transition, and protests in Georgia. Also on the agenda are migration reforms and preparing for a possible Donald Trump comeback. Before the summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged the EU and the US to stay united for peace in Ukraine.
It's very important, especially from the very beginning of next year. We need very much unity between the United States and EU and countries of Europe. This is very important. We need this unity to achieve peace. And I think only together the United States and Europe can really stop Putin and save Ukraine.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said on Thursday that a Christmas ceasefire plan for Ukraine was on the table.
The plan is on the table. That is, you can take it or leave it. So it's a very simple. It's not a complicated, bureaucratic plan. It's a very simple human plan. Just don't let thousands of young guys to die at Christmas time. That's so simple. And change the big quantity of numbers of war prisoners. Let them go home to their family for the Christmas days. So it's not more than several days of peace. Even in the First World War, which was the biggest bloodshed in our history, Christmas time, the first year, there was a ceasefire. So it's not a complicated, politically motivated plan. It's not a game. It's a simple human proposal. Don't kill each other for some days at the Christmas night.
As Russia-Ukraine conflict escalates, Russia's air defense systems repelled a Ukrainian attack on Thursday as 10 missiles targeted Rostov region of southern Russia. The attack started a fire at the Novoshakhtinsk oil refinery. That was the second time in 6 months that the facility had been hit. Meanwhile, in an overnight retaliatory attack, Russia launched 85 drones targeting Ukraine on Thursday. 40 imitator drones out of the total did not reach their targets and 45 others were shot down. No damages or casualties in Kiev were reported by Ukraine's officials, though explosions could be heard as the city's air defenses attempted to shoot down the drones with small arms fire. A French court on Thursday has sentenced Dominique Pellicotte, a Frenchman, to the maximum term of 20 years jail for committing and orchestrating the mass rape of his now former wife, Gisèle Pellicotte. 72-year-old Dominique Pellicotte has admitted to drugging his wife for almost a decade, so he and strangers he recruited online could rape her. Tension was palpable in the courtroom, where a heavy police presence was deployed. Dominique will not be eligible for parole until he has served two-thirds of his sentence. His 50 co-defendants in the case were also convicted by the court with no acquittals. French President Emmanuel Macron is visiting Mayotte to assess the extent of damage caused by Cyclone Chido. After interacting with officials over the situation, Macron conducted an aerial survey of the affected area. A team of rescue staff is also accompanying him to provide further assistance. Termed as the strongest storm to ever hit Mayotte in over 9 decades, the cyclone brought destruction at a shocking rate. Meanwhile, efforts are being made to clear roads of debris and provide drinking water as water supplies have taken the worst hit. Authorities have confirmed 31 deaths in the Indian Ocean archipelago, with fear of numbers rising as rescue teams are still searching for survivors as night curfew continues. A ship loaded with 50 tons of aid supplies arrived at Mayotte port on Thursday from the Reunion Island of France. On to Syria now. After Assad's ouster from the country, global diplomatic attention has shifted towards the formation of a transitional government there. The international community has expedited efforts to establish peace and stability in the war-torn nation. Suggestions are pouring in from the UN headquarters to member nations, ranging from holding democratic elections to removing rebels from the US list of terrorist individuals and organizations. DD India's Akhilesh Suman has filed this report.
To transform the nation from an authoritarian to a modern democratic dispensation, the United Nations has urged Syria's new rulers to hold free and fair elections.
There is a lot of hope that we can now see the beginning of a new Syria. A new Syria that, in line with Security Council Resolution 2254, will adopt a new constitution that will ensure that it is a social contract, a new social contract for all Syrians, and that we will have free and fair elections.
The UN suggestion is to accommodate several rebel groups in Syria through a democratic process, making a UN-monitored solution potentially more effective. Turkey's President Erdogan has urged the US and other nations to lift sanctions on Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, popularly known as HTS, and remove the group from the terrorist list. HTS was previously linked to Al-Qaeda, but severed ties with the terrorist network in later years. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has cautioned HTS to learn from the Taliban's continued global isolation due to its rigid religious views and refusal to adopt democratic and liberal policies for Afghan citizens, minorities and women. Visiting UN humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher called for a significant boost in aid for Syria, noting that 7 in 10 people require urgent assistance due to dire living conditions. As part of his visit, Fletcher met with the representatives of the HTS, including its leader Ahmad al-Shara and interim Prime Minister Mohammad al-Bashir. Positive feedback from these meetings has raised hope about the group's willingness to engage constructively. In a symbolic development, the country's new administration has kept key institutions running, with a commercial flight departing from Damascus airport to Aleppo on Wednesday, the first since Assad's removal and his subsequent flight to Russia. With HTS stepping up diplomatic contacts with countries that once viewed Assad as a pariah and establishing a transitional leadership that will govern the country until March 1st, hopes are rising that Syria will embrace modern governance while avoiding obstructionist sectarian laws. So the international community is watching closely how Syria will navigate this critical transition. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India.
Israel today said that it struck military targets belonging to Yemen's Houthi rebels after intercepting a missile fired by the group. Israeli army spokesman said that IDF conducted precise strikes on Houthi military targets in Yemen, including ports and energy infrastructure in capital Sana'a.
The IDF conducted precise strikes on Houthi military targets in Yemen, including ports and energy infrastructures in Sana'a, which the Houthis have been using in ways that effectively contributed to their military actions. Israel will not hesitate to act in order to defend itself and its citizens from the Houthis' attacks. The Houthis have been carrying out attacks against Israel in violation of international law, and the Houthi regime is a threat to peace and security in the region.
Earlier, the Israeli military said that sirens were sounded in numerous areas in central Israel after a missile was launched from Yemen. The IDF said that the missile was intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defenses before crossing into Israeli territory. Now, the United States has expressed optimism on reaching a ceasefire in Gaza, with Secretary of State Antony Blinken noting that Hamas is showing more flexibility due to losses inflicted on its patron, Iran. Blinken, repeating an assessment made last week when he paid his 12th visit to the West Asia since the conflict began, added that ending the conflict was in Israel's interest and an agreement on the post-conflict governance was necessary. The US, along with Arab mediators, is working to conclude an agreement between Israel and Hamas to end the 14-month-old conflict in Gaza. Sources say that a potential deal could be signed soon involving a ceasefire and the release of hostages held in Gaza in exchange for prisoners held by Israel. US President Joe Biden's administration on Thursday unveiled a new climate target under the landmark Paris Accord, just weeks before Donald Trump's return to the White House threatens to upend US efforts to combat global warming. According to a White House statement, the United States commits to reducing economy-wide greenhouse gas emissions by 61 to 66% below 2005 levels by 2035. Reflecting the world's second-largest polluter's goal of limiting long-term heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Further, the United States imposed new sanctions related to Pakistan's long-range ballistic missile program, including on the state-owned defense agency, the National Development Complex, that oversees the program. The State Department said that the United States is designating 4 entities for sanctions, which targets proliferators of weapons of mass destruction and their means of delivery in the light of the continuing proliferation threat of Pakistan's long-range missile development. In addition to the NDC, 3 other entities are Akhtar & Sons Private Limited, affiliates International and Rockside Enterprise, all of which are based in Karachi, while the NDC is in Islamabad. The sanctions are part of ongoing US efforts to curb the spread of missile technology and prevent further escalation of the global proliferation threat. As a result of these sanctions, the entities involved will face financial and trade restrictions, including being cut off from US markets and resources. The US government has stated that these measures are necessary to address the growing risks associated with the development of long-range ballistic missiles in Pakistan. Pakistan's Foreign Ministry said in a statement that the US action was unfortunate and biased and would harm regional stability. You're watching DD India Live, still to come on the show. India's Ministry of Culture partners with France Museum Development to create the Yuga Yugin Bharat National Museum. And ICC Men's Champions Trophy to take place in Pakistan early next year. India's matches to take place at a neutral venue.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja.
Focusing on Asia Pacific, Bangladesh's largest conglomerate, the Beximco Group, has laid off 40,000 workers from its ready-made garment units due to a lack of orders and financial struggles. According to the Business Standard newspaper of Bangladesh, Osman Kaisar Chaudhry, a director of Beximco Group and managing director of Beximco Limited, described the situation as unsustainable. The crisis is linked to a combination of declining orders since August's uprising in the country, escalating debt and difficulties in securing financial support from banks. The layoffs highlight the severe financial strain the group is under and raising concerns about the broader impact on Bangladesh's banking and industrial sectors. India's Ministry of Culture has partnered with France's Museums Development to create the Yuga Yugin Bharat National Museum in New Delhi, spanning 155,000 square meters. This ambitious project will transform the iconic North and South blocks as part of the Central Vista redevelopment project. Inspired by France's Grand Louvre, the collaboration celebrates India's civilizational heritage while preserving its architectural legacy, marking a milestone in cultural and global cooperation. The Congress versus BJP protest battle over Home Minister Amit Shah's Ambedkar statement dominated proceedings on the penultimate day of the winter session of Parliament. The fallout first reached the Speaker's room and then reached the Parliament Street police station, with MPs from the two parties trading complaints and allegations of physical assault of their women leaders. DD India's Anil Thomas reports.
Home Minister Amit Shah's remarks on B.R. Ambedkar triggered a major uproar in Parliament. Protests by opposition Indi bloc MPs and the ruling NDA turned violent, leading to a physical alteration that left two BJP MPs, Mukesh Rajput and Pratap Chandra Sarangi, hospitalized.
प्रताप सिंह सारंग जी को गहरी चोट, डीप इंजरी हुआ है, ब्लीडिंग बंद नहीं हुआ था, स्टिचेस वगैरह लगा रहे हैं और उसके साथ जो मुकेश राजपूत है वो भी इधर भी बेहोश थे, उधर भी पूरा सेमी कॉन्शियस थे और ये गुंडागर्दी का बरतते हुए जो है ये तो मैं खंडन करता हूं।
कांग्रेस के इतिहास को आज पूरे देश के सामने रखा गया, उससे कांग्रेस पूरी तरह से झल्लाई हुई है और जो उनका असली काम करने का तरीका है वो आज सामने आया। किस तरह से उन्होंने हमारे दो सांसदों को धक्का मुक्की करके उनको घायल किया, दोनों सांसद अभी हॉस्पिटल में है। ये संसद की मर्यादा है क्या?
Earlier this morning, opposition MPs led by Congress staged protests in Parliament dressed in blue, a colour associated with Ambedkar, and demanded Amit Shah's apology. Meanwhile, BJP MPs countered with their own protest, accusing the opposition of disrespecting Ambedkar. The confrontation reached a flashpoint near the Makar Dwar of Parliament, where members from both sides clashed. BJP MPs Pratap Chandra Sarangi and Mukesh Rajput reportedly sustained injuries and were shifted to the ICU.
खड़ा हुआ था, राहुल गांधी एक एमपी को धक्का लगा, मेरे ऊपर गिर पड़ा और मैं नीचे गिर गया। किसने धक्का मारा? राहुल गांधी ने? हाँ, राहुल गांधी ने।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up the injured MPs and inquired about their health.
आज जो लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन श्रीमान राहुल गांधी ने जिस तरीके से आज गैर प्रजातांत्रिक तरीके से प्रजातांत्रिक व्यवस्था में लोग जो हमारे सांसद थे वो प्रदर्शन कर रहे थे, उनके साथ धक्का मुक्की की, जिसमें हमारे दो सांसद घायल हुए, हॉस्पिटल में भर्ती हुए, उनका इलाज चल रहा है।
Rahul Gandhi, on the other hand, claimed that BJP MPs obstructed him and Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge from entering the Parliament building.
ये एंट्रेंस है पार्लियामेंट हाउस की जी, और हमारा अधिकार है अंदर जाने का, और बीजेपी के जो मेंबर्स हैं वो हमें अंदर जाने से रोक रहे हैं।
Leader of the opposition in both houses have written letters to the Speaker and Chairman seeking an inquiry into the security breach in Parliament.
We condemn this. We have written to Honorable Speaker of the Lok Sabha to take into account this entire episode of assault on Kharge Sahab and take appropriate action.
The clashes and ongoing protests forced both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to adjourn.
On record, nothing will
BJP MPs then reached the Parliament Street police station to file a complaint in connection with the scuffle.
हमने सेक्शन 109, 115, सेक्शन 117, सेक्शन 125, सेक्शन 131 और सेक्शन 351 के अंतर्गत उनके खिलाफ कंप्लेंट दर्ज करवाई है। और अगर मैं आपको कहूं तो सेक्शन 109 अटेम्प्ट टू मर्डर है, सेक्शन 109 इज अटेम्प्ट टू मर्डर।
Women MPs from the Congress party too marched to the police station to file their complaints.
Protest versus protest, BJP versus Congress, and a political slugfest that's taken place in the fag end of the winter session of Parliament. 2 MPs are allegedly injured and in hospital, while an FIR has been launched against the leader of opposition. The citadel of democracy has seen a new low today. With camera person Naveen Kumar, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
On to some sporting action now. The International Cricket Council has finally reached a breakthrough in the 2025 Champions Trophy impasse on Thursday. It said that a hybrid model with a neutral venue will be followed in all ICC events from 2024 to 2027. This agreement applies to 2025 Men's Champions Trophy, which is set to take place in February and March in Pakistan. India's matches will take place at a neutral venue. In return, Pakistan's matches in ICC events hosted by India will also take place at a neutral venue. The neutral venue will be proposed by the tournament host board and will need to be approved by the ICC. The schedule for Champions Trophy will also be confirmed soon. In women's cricket, India will take on West Indies in the third and final T20 in the 3-match series in Navi Mumbai on Thursday. With the series tied at 1-1, the third match is the virtual decider, with India hoping to make amends at home after the recent disappointment of losing an ODI series in Australia. India won the opening encounter by 49 runs. However, West Indies bounced back in the second match, defeating the hosts by 9 wickets. India secured an easy 8-wicket win over Bangladesh in the first match of the Super 4 stage at the Women Under-19 Asia Cup in Malaysia on Thursday. India played an exceptional overall game and restricted Bangladesh to just 80 runs in their 20 overs, which they later chased with 8 wickets and 47 balls to spare. Indian opening batter Gongardi Trisha won the Player of the Match award for her half-century. She scored 58 runs off 46 balls. Earlier, Indian captain Nikki Prasad won the toss and asked Bangladesh to bat against a strong Indian bowling lineup. A 28-member Indian weightlifting contingent will compete at the Asian Youth Junior Weightlifting Championships in Doha starting on Thursday. India's Martina Devi Maibam, who set 2 records at the Junior World Weightlifting Championships in September, will lead India's challenge. 15 Indian weightlifters will compete in the junior division, while 13 will lock horns at the youth level. The tournament will take place from December 19th to 25th. Championships will feature competitions in 40 categories, 20 each at the junior and youth levels. And in a display of cultural diversity and to celebrate the year-end festivities, Kosovo's capital is abuzz with Christmas markets as people from various beliefs throng these markets, sometimes to buy things and other times to just enjoy the lights and decorations. Pristina has set up 3 such markets for people ahead of the Christmas celebrations. That's it in this broadcast. But before we go, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you want great content for free, you can download Waves today. That's all in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.